have to walk with this when they really, really want to make a macha against a wealthy person in the community, and they don't do it because they need to be makabel the toivus, right? Like raising the bar of making weddings, kiddushin, etc., etc. Nobody tells them anything because you can't tell them anything, right?
Where's Zev Bald?
I'm not saying specific things.
He was all upset about all the men getting pedicures.
I cannot tell. I
just want to see Darche say, we're not taking your check. Let your tails grow long. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you something, okay?
Didn't I ask that question the other day? I asked you yesterday about pedicures. I thought it was a great idea, especially with my bike. It's a little hard to get down to the feet, So I was thinking I should go for a pedicure,
Listen, I was going to forward to the chat.
Open up one of the deposit boxes and get a valet. Nobody's stopping you.
Up here, anything is mutter. You can have a TV. Nobody else.
Oh yeah.
Down here, Rahman, we're past TV, but that's what it's called internet. But all right, streaming. But yeah.
What was the text you wanted to forward?
The shilas that came in about men's what?
No, what did you want to forward?
I'm saying all the shilas that came in about men asking for hair removal, heterim, based on that. I realized how many guys would ask, I wouldn't have posted it. The Daf Yomi guy asked me to post it, so I posted it, but not from our Daf Yomi Chaburu. Anyways, okay, Mishnah Nun Tesla base. So now basically we have this Mishnah that's, again, you have a guy who's a suffix, he's a Nazir, he's a suffix Mitzayra, he's a suffix Tuma, he's got to bring korbanos, he's got to take haircuts. But because he's a suffix, he cannot take a haircut when he's a Nazir because that's an essay. We don't have an essay because it's a suffix. So since it's a suffix, he can't take the haircut. So he's got to end up waiting 120 days till he's free and clear. Right, again, but the main yesod to understand is he's got to bring korbanos as a suffix mitzvah. He's got to bring korbanos and shave for suffix tamei nazir, and he can't do it unless he has, and he can't do it while he might be a nazir, and he can't do it until he has 30 days of nazir hair growth. So because of all that, we have this disaster of 120 days that he has to keep, and has to bring all sorts of combinations of korbanos. So the Gemara is going to go through all the combinations. We'll try and say it over as clear as we can. So Zok the Mishnah, yeah? Nun Tesam base. Nazir Shayatame, this we had a few times. Nazir Shayatame, Pesafik, he's Tame Pesafik, Umuchlit Pesafik. And he's also a Matzara Muchlit, meaning he's a Vadai Matzara Pesafik, which again we said means that the Kohanim were not sure what color tzaras it was. It was definitely a tzaras looking thing. We weren't sure on the color. So he could end up eating kachim after 60 days. Why? Because he has to first keep 30 days of tzaras. Then he takes a haircut, a shave, a full body shave for the tzaras, but then he needs to take a second body shave. So then he has to wait another 30 days for that one, and then he takes it. So then he's clear with the mitzayra, and then he has to start dealing with the tumah for the nazir. And he could drink wine and becomes tummy mace after 120 days. Because taking a haircut for a nega and of shaving for a nega pushes off the tiglachas and nazir is manchu vadai. When it's a vadai, I mean, again, we said that if a nazir becomes a mitzayra, vadai mitzayra, during his nazir time, so he shaves off his whole body, even though a nazir is not allowed to, because it's an essay taichalaisa say the mitzvah say of shaving a nazir, it pushes off the license of a nazir shaving his hair. It's manchu vadai, was manchu suffix. When it's man that he's a suffix, ain't a doicha. He is not. It's not doicha, right? Because with a suffix mitzvah say is not going to be doicha loisaseh, right? So because of that, you have to wait. So on top of that, let's zog the Gemara Tana. This is all talking about when is a Nazirus Muetas means a 30-day Nazirus, so then you have to wait 120 days. A Nazirus Bas Shana, let's say the guy became a Nazir for 100 days, for a year, I'm sorry. So he eats kachim after 2 years. And meaning everything gets doubled, right? Normal nazir is 30 days. When he becomes a nazir, suffix mitzvah, suffix what do you call it? So then his kachim go after 60 days, and his wine goes after 120. But if he became a nazir for a year, so everything gets doubled. So it's 2 years and then 4 years. V'tani Allah, and we learned that Magalech Arba Teglachia, so he has to end up taking 4 different haircuts. Teglachas Rishayna, maybe Tziparim. The first time he takes a haircut, he has to bring birds, right? So the birds is what the Mitzvah has to bring. Now the reason why we have no problem with him bringing birds, because there's another issue here. If it's only a suffix, how could he bring korbanos into the Beis Hamikdash that is not vadai, that it's not a vada? Right? Meaning these korbanos of Nazir, it's very nice as a suffix, but you can't go bring korbanos misafik into the Beis Hamikdash. So tziporim is not a problem because that's not a korban, right? Basically, there's 2 birds, right? The kohen gets 2 birds. He shechts one, and he catches the blood, mixes it with mayim chaim, right? And then they take the other bird. What do you do with the other bird? They take it with the, what do you call it? The hyssop. What's it called again? Hyssop. I remember the taich. I don't even know what hyssop is, but I know hyssop. Azov. Thank you. There you go. Thank you. That's the Azov, right? He takes the Azov with the shni toilas, right? And the eitz eres, and they dip it into the blood, and they put it onto the. Then they put it onto mitzvah, and then they let the other one free. That's not a korban. So that can be, you can do that as many times as you want. So the Nazir brings those, and then he shaves, and then brings those, v'chatas ha'oif, ha'oilas behema, and then he brings a chatas ha'oif and a oila behema, right? Which is carbon of tumas of Nazir. Then shniya, maybe chatas ha'oif, oila behema. The second time, meaning after 60 days, he again brings a chatas ha'oif. I'm sorry, not again. Again a chatas ha'oif and a oilas behema. Shlish is maybe chatas ha'oif, oilas behema. He also brings a chatas ha'oif and oilas behema. And Revi'ah is maybe korban tahira. And the Revi'ah is because once he gets to the 4th shaving on day 120, that's just the shaila of whether he was tamei or not. So he brings just the regular standard nazir, tamei nazir korbanos. Fine. So now the Gemara goes through everything. So Amrit Tiglachas Rishayna, here it means like Amrit means like Amar Mar. So Amrit Tiglachas Rishayna, maybe he brings at the first shaving, right? The first time he has to shave his body, he brings tziporim, chatas ha'oif, and oilas behema. So Gemara says Mamana Shach Shaper Kamaisi, because either way he's bringing what he's doing is good. If he was taka mitzvah of a light tamehu and he wasn't a nazir tameh, tziporim chavasa. So the birds is a chiyuv, the chatas ha'oif suffix, and a chatas ha'oif is a suffix. So azal kfura. And what's going to happen with a chatas ha'oif? So chatas ha'oif it can be brought to suffix, right? And then you can't eat it, so they bury it. Va'oila having a dava, and an oila can be brought as a nadava, meaning he brings it. Mamanusha, he says, if I need it, then the oila is a chiyuv. If I don't, then it's a nadava. But he can't be shaved after 7 days. Because how do we know that he's not in his next Nazirus? The Duma Lav Mukhladu, maybe he wasn't for sure a Nazir. Ad Melois, until he cannot put a razor until his hair fills up, which means we learned out, which means 30 days. And let's say he was not a Vadai Mitzvah, let's say he was Tameh. So Chatas Oif Chayvasa, the Chatas of the Oif is his Chayv. The tziporim, habroi, and the tziporim, the outer tziporim, like we said, comes abdin, right? We said that already. That the tziporim that go with the nazir they're not korbanos, so that's not chulin lazara. Oilas behema having a dava, and an oilas behema can become a dava, right? V'la mitzayru, and if he's not a mitzayru, or v'lav tamihu, and then he was nothing, he's just a straight out nazir. So tziporim habroi comes abdin. The tziporim that he's bringing is outside the Beis Hamikdash, so there's no problem there. And chatas ha'oif l'kfura, and this chatas ha'oif goes to kfura. Oilus behema avi chavasa, and the oilus behema is the same.
L'chadchila,
Yeah.
you don't have to have any kavanah by korbanos. So we shouldn't have to have any kavanah by davening.
Okay, I hear where you're going. Meaning, you want to say
We don't know what it
is.
is. We say we don't know why he's bringing it, but he can bring it. That means he has no kavanas because he can't have kavanas suffix. I mean, what he doesn't have the kavanas. He doesn't say to l'shem yichud. It's different l'shem yichud. So he has no kavana. So you don't have to have kavana when you're davening.
Yeah, no, but that's here. He's bringing it with kavanas. The kavanah is there. It's just a matter of
No, it's either
which kavanah it
in the
is.
davar or a chiyuv. Two totally different things. We let him bring it because an oila is, you can bring an oila as an adava. So it's either an adava, but it's an adava or a chiyuv. So he can't have kavanah for both.
I understand. I went to a store this morning that I wasn't sure if I owed them last week for last week or not. So I paid them. I said, hey, look, if I owe them, this is good. I paid up my chayv. If not, let them have it.
Okay, so very nice.
The
So
same thing that's happening here. It's not a lack of kavanah.
that's a very nice
First
thing.
of all,
It has nothing to do with
Rabbi,
kabbanas in the base of Mikdash.
Baron, I hope you're right. I do hope you're right. That
Okay.
the davening shaloi b'kavana works, right? I'm saying otherwise. I don't know about the olim here, but you're supporting my style davening. I make a tanai, like, listen, Rabbi Shem, if I'm concentrating, all good. If I'm not, I hear. I don't know. Anyways, okay,
Only
right.
it's the opposite. The tefillas nedava needs kavanah.
That's true. That's what. Yeah, that is true. So then, okay, so that's okay. Obviously, it's very difficult to follow all this, especially in a Daf Yomi Bechlal and a Daf Yomi on a Friday Befrat, right? But that's again basically the karbonos that you could bring on a Tanai. You bring on a Tanai. The birds are not karbonos mibachut, so who cares, right? They only one question is that, but there's an asham. Right? Remember, there's if a Nazir becomes Tameh, he has to bring a Korban Asham because he did something wrong. Whether he did something or didn't bring something wrong, but he might have bring Korban Asham. A Korban Asham is for doing a chet. Right? You can't bring a Korban Asham on a Tanai. Right? So how does he bring the Korban Asham? Right? Everything else, you have the Nedava, the Oila could be brought as a Nedava. So
Asham Toloi is a suffix.
By definition, it's a suffix. Yes, by definition, that's true. But that's it's meant to be a suffix tongue. That is the definition that's the definition of the carbon. Okay. Anyways, so Gemara says about Asham. What about the Asham? Right. So Reb Shimon was saying to Amar Maisi Umasni. We're going according to Reb Shimon that he does bring the asham and he makes a t'nai. That what? It's that if it should be an asham, it's an asham. If it should be a shlamim, then it'll be a shlamim. Now, see, this is Rabban. This one is already a stronger t'nai. The other one is you bring the same carbon, just a matter of whether you bring it as an adava or a chiyuv. This one, you're saying, 1 second, this will either be an asham, and if it's not an asham, then it's going to be a shlamim. Right, so Yibam is changing the whole. So that's Reb Shimon holds you could do that. Chachamim say you can't do it, but it's very interesting why the Chachamim say you can't do it, right? Because an asham has 1 day and 1 night to eat it. A shlamim has 2 days and a night. So basically, what you're saying with the ties, you're saying, 1 second, either this carbon is going to be a 1 day and a 1 night, or it's going to be a 2 day and 1 night. So obviously, in Misafik, you're only able to eat the carbon for 1 day and 1 night. So the Chachamim say you can't do that. You can't be knocking off the amount of time that a carbon can't be eaten. You're not right. That's the reason why we don't bring carbon tamid on by Erev Pesach, and that's why we don't bring carbon taidas, because you're going to be knocking off the time for the chametz. Tamid, I'm sorry.
I was hoping you wouldn't say that, Yaakov. I was not hoping.
Okay,
Maybe it evens out. Maybe it evens out because the shlamim.
Also, we have all these things. You can never bring, Tom in the basis straight. All these things you just said, And the carbon Pesach, which is the most special, holy carbon of the whole year, they give you 2 hours to eat it. That's it, 2 hours. It's a shlomim, but you have 2 hours.
Maybe it evens out because if it's a shlomim, then the baal of carbon, he gets to eat a piece of it. But where it was only an ashram, then only the kahanim get a chelik in it, and the baal bus doesn't get nothing. So maybe it evens out.
You're saying in addition to this,
the kahanim get cut out.
You're saying in addition to this,
get an extra day for the.
Could be. All right, could be. Anyways, okay, weiter. But that's the machlokes of Shimon and Chacham. So we're going according to Rav Shimon, who holds you are allowed to do this. You are allowed to potentially shorten the time that a karma could be in. Fatiglachas shni of the shlishis. What about the second haircut, meaning on day 60 and day 90? Tziporin loy tzorich. He doesn't need tziporin to have it. He already brought the birds. If he was a B'tzaira, sometime between day 1 and day 30, he already brought his birds. So he's done with that. Yeah. Right? I mean, understanding, he was only Mitzvah once. As long as he brings his birds, he brought his birds. So everything is good. Right? Even though these other commands are coming later, that's fine. My Ika, right? So what's there? What is there? Meaning what else do you have to worry about? Maybe he was a Vada Mitzvah. Chada l'safek sifrei. So therefore, he brings 1 chatas for his suffix, right? V'chada l'safek tumasa, and 1 for the suffix for the tuma, right? That's it. So that's on that. That's what he has to bring in addition to everything that we had said before. Tiglachas revius. What about the 4th one? This is after day 120. Maybe carbon tahira. He brings a carbon of regular nazir tahira carbon. And he makes a t'nai on Tommy Bays now, right? And his t'nai is if he was the Vadai Nazir, then Oila Harishayna Chayva V'Zunadava. The first oil that he had brought 60 days ago or 90 days ago is in the Dava. And if he was Tamei and Mukhlit, which would have been the worst case scenario, so then Oila Harishayna in the Dava. The first oil was in the Dava, V'Zu Chayva, and this is a Chayva, V'Zeh Shar Karbana, and the chat, and meaning the other 2 karbanas, meaning you have to also bring chatas and a shlamim, right? Again, the nazir after his naziris has to bring 3 karbanas: oila, chatas, and shlamim. So of course he has to bring the other 2 also, and he brings that after day 120. Fine, okay. So then the Gemara says tamei safik umuchlet vadai. Let's say he's a tamei safik, but he was definitely a Mitzvah. So all he has now we're talking different shayla. Now we're talking, see, till now he was a suffix whether he ever had saras, and it was a suffix whether he became tummy when he was a nazir. Now we're saying that he's a suffix tummy, but he knew for sure he was a Mitzvah. So how does that work? So, and again, the tzaras happened on the first day. The assumption is that tzaras happened on the first day he became a nazir. Right? He had a winner of a day. He became a nazir, and on that same day he grew tzaras. Right? And now he wants to get out of the tzaras. So, okay, so no big deal. After 8 days, as assuming his nazirus, his mitzvah clears up, so he has his 7 clean days. He eats kachim after the 8th day. After 67 days. Why? Because he's a suffix. Why 67? Because he's a suffix nazir. Since he's a suffix nazir, he has to keep 60 days. He's a suffix tumas nazir, so he has to keep 60 days. So it's 60 days plus his mitzvah days get push off, right? So that's what you get to 67, and then on the 68th day he can eat kachim. Mukhlut, then
a mitzvah is allowed to eat kachim. I thought he wasn't. Is a mitzvah allowed to eat kachim?
No.
We said not originally, but here we're saying Lachash Shmona Yom.
After 8 days, he could. What's the problem? We're talking about 8 days of
there's 2 different counts now. After 8 days of Muslim, day 67 is from the beginning.
A Matzayra has 3 counts, but I have to just say disclaimer: I'm cheating because we just had in the morning Chabur in Megillah. So since we just had it in Megillah, I'm a little epis. I'm holding a little, but otherwise I am not holding in Hilchus Matzayra. Okay, but basically the Mitzvah has three. He has muskar, where he gets locked up under observation. Then he becomes mukhlat, and then he has Yemei Sfira. So we're talking about here it's the last 7 days. After that, he could eat kachim. Okay, that's the way I understand it. But
so the Gemara is using numbers in two different ways here.
Yes.
Means 8 days from the tzaras, and then 67 from the beginning.
You have a bigger kasha, Gershon. It's using the lashon mukhlat when it doesn't really mean it. It's not mukhlat, right? Mukhlat means that he has to wait 7 days, and then the 7 days of sfira. Here it's not talking. Mukhlat already happened, right? Again, whatever. That's the way they say that. That's pshat in the Gemara. It can mamish make you crazy. But anyways, fine.
Sulitzer is telling you to keep going.
What?
The Sulitzer is telling you to keep going with that alarm.
yeah. At least the Sulitzer does something before the Shkia. Anyway, so
I thought you were going to say that that's the bell for Gershon to stop.
That's what I said. It's on Sulitz.
Anyway, right after 67 days again, because the taras is over with after 8 days, and because he's a suffix tumas nazir, he has to wait 30 days, and then in case his nazirus was no good, because again when a nazir becomes tummy, he has to start another 30 days, so that's why he has to wait 60 days. Mukhlat suffix tamei vadai. If a nazir was mukhlat, and meaning for sure, and he was for sure a mitzayra. I'm sorry, he was a suffix mitzayra, and he was the vadai tamei. So he needs to wait 37 days to eat kachim, right? Because that's when he takes care of his nazirus. And then he has to wait 74 days, right, in order to start, because he needs another 30 days. How's it go? Right, he starts his nazirus on day 38. Then we have 68, and then he has to wait another 7 days. Right, that's it. Fine. So tamei vadai or mukhlat vadai. Let's say it's tamei vadai and mukhlat vadai. Right, which is a gewaldig thing. Kolzman, he's a suffix. We had this once before in Nazir. When he's a suffix, is the worst. When he's a suffix, it's the worst. When he's a vadai Nazir and a vadai tamei, if he's a vadai mitzayra and a vadai tamei, all he has to wait is 44 days, and then he goes home scot-free. Right, which is again, it's the same. The Musar Shabbai is that being besuffic, right? Being besuffic.
Ain't similar to Taurus fakers.
Right, ain't similar to Taurus fakers and Amalek, right? When you say that Amalek is suffix, doubt is no good, right? We all know that doubt is no good, right? Makes you crazy. Vadai, whether you're tamei, meaning a person would rather vadai be tamei than the suffix tamei, right? Anyways, fine. Now the Gemara asks a different. You said this is the question what we've been discussing for the last few days, which is how come the haircut can't count for two? Why can't the same haircut count for the Nazir and count for the Nazir Tamei and for the Mitzayra? So Shal Talmidav is Reb Shimon ben Yochai. Nazir Torah Mitzayra. If you have a Nazir who's Torah and he's a Mitzayra, let's say he's a Nazir Torah, right? A Nazir needs to take a haircut, right? After day 30, he has to shave. And you have a Mitzayra. So what can he do? One shaving and accounts for both. He says, no, you cannot. You can't do it. Amrulai lama. They said, why? Amrulai, he said to them, if both shavings were in order to grow here, meaning you shave in order to start a new growth. It's very interesting. The different, I guess, there's a philosophical way of looking at the hair growth, the difference between a hair growth of a Nazir and a Mitzayra. So that if each one is doing it to grow the hair, and this one is doing it to remove the hair, meaning sometimes you want to shave the hair so that you have new growth, and sometimes you want to shave the hair because you don't want what was there before, right? So Yafa Atemarim, then you would be saying a good thing, that why can't the Mitzayra and the Nazir's haircuts Well, I keep saying haircuts, meaning shavings work. But Asham Nazir Lahave, Nazir is taking off the hair that had either Kedusha, Tumah, whatever you want to call it, for the last 30 days. And Mitzayra, the reason why he's shaving it, at least the first shave, is so that he should have 7 days of growth. So they're two different things. But they ask back, what do you mean? Okay, so it shouldn't, it won't work for the days of Chalutai, meaning the first haircut, but it should work for the days of Sfira, right? That's what we just were saying. The days of Sfira is the 7 days of Mitzvah waits afterwards. Reb Shimon said back to them, if they were both before the blood gets sprinkled, then you're saying good. But Mitzvah gets his haircut before his shaving on the second shaving on the 7th day goes before he takes the haircut, the shave. And the Nazir is after the carbon is brought. So then Gemara says, okay, they said back to him, fine. So it won't work. One shaving won't work for tzaras and nazirus. The talaleli made tzaras and tumase. Let it work for tzaras and tumah, right? Meaning the day that he becomes tar. Samalan ilu. He says Reb Shimon said back to him, ilu zelifnei bias mayim zelifnei bias mayim. If each one came before mikvah, bias mayim means mikvah yafat mayim. Then you're saying a good thing. Elatame lacher bias mayim. But the tumah, the nazir tameh, he takes the shave after the mikvah. Mitzayra lefnei bias mayim, and Mitzayra does it before the bias mayim. Halavai, I should remember all these different facts. Yeah. So I'm relying.
Excuse me, is there Shir Shabbos?
Yeah, he didn't post it out, Avi. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock followed by mincha. Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Fine. So then the Gemara says, so Amrullah. So they said to him, this is just repetitive. Amrullah Yafa Amrit Shalai Talalai the May Sifra Naziruse. You're saying good that one haircut can't work for counting and Nazirus. For Talalai, so but it should work. We may Chaluta for the days of when the Mitzayra first starts his count and the Tumah, the Zelagado, they're both there to grow hair, right? The first shaving of the Mitzayra is that he grows hair. And the Nazir Tameh also takes a haircut, a shave. Why? So that he could restart his Nazirus. So they're both there to start it. So on the hand, he said to them, Nazir Tar v'hu Mitzayra. Right? So they said back to them, right? Nazir Tar v'hu Mitzayra. By the case of a Nazir Tar is a Mitzayra, zel legado v'zel lahavir. One is to grow and one is to remove. V'im Nazir Tameh v'hu Mitzayra. And if he's a Nazir Tameh, he's a Mitzayra Zelef Nebias Mayim, Zelef Nebias Mayim. Again, he's just saying that it really, you can't ever compare Nazir to Mitzayra. I think this is what he's saying. You can't compare Nazir to Mitzayra because they have their haircuts done at different times than each other. Fine. So then on top of Aleph, Tani Reb Chia, Zelef Nebias Mayim. One, the Mitzayra is before he goes to the mikvah. Zelacha Bias Mayim, Zelef Nezrikas Damim, Zelacha Zrikas Damim. Yeah. Fine. Okay, we'll stop here so that Peretz can make his l'chaim, Motzei Shabbos, and Jesse and all.
Yeah, I was about to say, please stop. Let me make an excuse for l'chaim, Motzei Shabbos.
Peretz,
Why, you can't make a l'chaim today? Why, you can't make a l'chaim today?
No, I already made one today.
He already made. His Erev Shabbos is l'chaim.
So you can't have another one?
I could have another one, but why waste it?
Yeah. Anyways,
so Rabbi Sam, what's the plan with the share Erev Shabbos?
what?
The share Erev Shabbos. What are plans? No, I don't care about Motzei Shabbos. No, Erev Shabbos.
Erev Shabbos when?
I'm talking about once, like let's say after Pesach.
With the early Shabbos?
Yeah.
Wait, Pesach is so long. I got so many days.
No, because the minyan I daven at, they're taking votes about when people want it to be. About if people want.
Let's discuss doing lift benches in 2 minutes.
Peretz, 1 second. Hold on. Don't sign off.
2027.
Because I don't care about that now. I care about this now. So I guess we'll talk about it later.
The other years we had the daf before early Shabbos for those people that make early Shabbos. That's what we did the other years. What will be this year? Hopefully Mashiach will come and then the truth will come out that you shouldn't make early Shabbos. But okay, but until then,
Very good.
Until then, we'll probably do it before early Shabbos. Anyways,
Saying by those of us in the know, we already know that it's not right.
Yago, what do you want to know, Yago?
you have liquid Advil, Moxil, whatever. A Moxil. Oh, a Moxil.
Calamero probably has.
Does anybody have liquid amoxicillin?
Calamero probably has.
No, I got liquid Advil. Sorry.
Yago, try it.
Or adults.
Should try Aaron. Aaron didn't make Shabbos by Chatzos.
I probably did, but you can probably.
Yago, what do you need? What do you need?
My grandson just was diagnosed with strep, so we'd like to get him started on medication. We need liquid amoxicillin.
You go to a veterinarian. Go to a veterinarian. He'll give it to you in a powdered form, and you add the water. That's how they do it in the pharmacies anyway.
I know. I have.
Give it to the goats, baby.
And it only costs 1/10 the amount.
Send Zoltan to Calamero now.
All right, fine. Rachamim, I have a lot of doctors for Hashem I'm friendly with. I don't have any vets, so you're gonna have to hook me up. Get a vet on the daf.
Get a vet who was in Afghanistan.
There you go.
I got the goats.
He definitely should get a vet on the daf before Kulin.